In Chapter 10, Section 5, it talks about how to translate the problem into a statistical hypothesis. It focuses on the null hypothesis, which is indicated by capital H and a subscript 0. The null hypothesis usually asserts that nothing special is happening with respect to some characteristic of the underlying population. It usually equals a single number to represent the hypothesized sampling distribution of the mean. It makes a precise statement about a characteristic of the population, never the sample. While finding the single number for the null hypothesis, it usually varies from problem to problem. For example, if you're looking at the mean SAT reading scores, you'd use the number 500. You don't want to use arbitrary numbers. Instead, you'd use an estimation, which is described in Chapter 12. In Section 6, it talks about the alternative hypothesis, which is indicated as capital H subscript 1. This is the opposite of the null hypothesis. So in the null hypothesis, if the mean is equal to 500, then in the alternative hypothesis, you'd see that the mean does not equal 500. To retain the null hypothesis, you usually have to lack support for the alternative hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis is a range of possible values about a single number that appears in the null hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis is identified with the research hypothesis, which states the thesis, the formal hypothesis is, or a hunch that inspires the entire investigation. It usually has something special in the underlying population, such as a deviation from the national average.